This is TLC to go.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take your sources, your research, your notes, and really try to pull out the key nuggets of knowledge for you. Today, our mission is exploring something pretty crucial, I think, for anyone educating in the health sciences. We're drawing insights from a key resource aimed specifically at helping you equip your students, not just with knowledge, but, well, with the tools they need for continuous learning, adaptive thinking, and ethical decision-making, skills they absolutely need throughout their careers. And we're diving into insights primarily from the UTHSC Teaching and Learning Center. Now, for those of you at UTHSC, you'll know the TLC. It's a fantastic resource, really central in supporting educational excellence and growth there.
Absolutely, a real hub.
Yeah. And today, specifically, we're zooming in on metacognition and self-regulation. Big words, but really central concepts for empowering health science students. So this deep dive is really tailored for you, our health sciences faculty listeners. We want to give you practical teaching tips, resources you can actually use. Okay, so let's unpack these two ideas. Metacognition, we hear it mentioned. What exactly is it?
Well, fundamentally, metacognition is about the awareness and control of one's thinking. It sounds simple, maybe, but it's profound. It's literally thinking about your thinking process.
Okay, like stepping back.
Exactly. Imagine a student looking at a complex case. Metacognition is them pausing and thinking, okay, wait, do I really get this, or am I just recognizing terms? What's my process here? Where might I stumble? Am I making assumptions? It's that inner voice, that self-monitoring that goes beyond just knowing facts.
Right, that internal check-in. And how does self-regulation connect with that? Are they intertwined?
Very much so. Self-regulation kind of builds directly on that metacognitive awareness. It's the ability to plan, monitor, and adjust one's learning behaviors. So you use that awareness, okay, I'm not quite getting this part, and then you act on it. You plan a different study approach, you monitor if it's working, you adjust again if needed.
Okay, so it's the awareness plus the action.
Precisely. Together, they let learners figure out what they know critically, spot the gaps, choose the right strategies to fill those gaps, and then this is key, evaluate if those strategies actually worked. It's a loop, a dynamic cycle.
It really sounds like these are fundamental skills, not just nice to haves, especially for future health professionals. Why are they so critical in this specific field?
Oh, absolutely critical. Because think about it, students in health professions, they're not just learning for an exam. They face incredibly complex tasks, often high stakes, demanding deep reflection, quick adaptability, and frankly, persistence.
Yeah, the pressure is immense.
Right. A clinician making a tough diagnosis, a researcher sifting through conflicting data, dealing with real people, dynamic situations, new information constantly. So teaching them to think metacognitively, to regulate their own learning, it's not just about academic success. It's about shaping them into truly self-directed learners. Learners capable of strong clinical reasoning, sound ethical judgment, and importantly, that commitment to lifelong improvement.
And you mentioned earlier, these aren't skills you're just born with.
No, definitely not. That's a crucial point. They are developed, they can be taught, practiced, and strengthened through, specific instruction and structured practice over time.
That's really empowering for educators, I think, knowing you can actively build these skills. So beyond the theory, what does the research show? What are the tangible benefits when students really develop these abilities?
Well, one area that's fascinating is the direct link to enhanced clinical reasoning and what's called adaptive expertise. Teaching students to actively monitor and adjust their thinking makes them much more flexible problem solvers in actual clinical settings.
Adaptive expertise, meaning they can handle novel situations better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Learners who are good self-regulators are much more likely to engage in really thoughtful diagnostic reasoning. They don't just follow a script. They can adapt when faced with a patient scenario that doesn't quite fit the textbook, which, as you know, happens all the time in healthcare.
All the time, yeah.
Research, like the work by Sanders and Cleary back in 2020 focusing on medical education, really drives this home. Self-regulation sharpens that crucial clinical judgment.
And it's not just about the clinical side, right? Does it also directly impact how they perform academically in these demanding programs?
It absolutely does. That's another key benefit, measurable improvements in academic performance and even motivation. Studies consistently show that health professions, students with stronger metacognitive awareness and self-regulated learning skills, just plain do better academically.
So it's not just about being smart, it's about how they learn.
Precisely. It's about managing the learning process effectively. There was a study just last year Pucio and Perez, looking at OT and PT students. They found things like good time management, effective self-monitoring, being able to manage study anxiety. These self-regulatory factors were really predictive of success in those rigorous programs.
Yeah.
It shows these skills are foundational.
Okay, so it helps with immediate academic success, sharpens clinical reasoning. What about the long game, their entire career trajectory?
That's a great question, because we want them to keep growing after graduation, right?
Definitely.
And that's where metacognition and self-regulation become the bedrock for professional reflection, which is, or should be, a core competency across all health professions. These skills allow practitioners to look back at their decisions, learn from their experiences, both good and bad, and just keep improving throughout their careers.
So it fuels that lifelong learning commitment.
Exactly. There's a systematic review by Mann, Gordon, and McLeod from 2009 that really highlights how vital reflection and reflective practice are. It's about creating practitioners who are always evolving, always adapting, long after they've left our classrooms.
Okay, this is compelling. We get the what and the why. But now, for the faculty listening, the big question is always the how. Here's where it gets really interesting. How do we move from understanding this to actually doing it? What are some concrete, practical things faculty can implement?
Right, the practical application. Well, one really powerful strategy is to make thinking visible.
Make thinking visible. How does that work?
It means actively modeling your own expert thinking process. So when you're working through a clinical case or interpreting complex data, don't just give the answer, do a thing aloud. Verbalize your reasoning. Okay, my first thought here is X because of this finding. But wait, this other piece of data doesn't quite fit? Could it be Y instead? What would make me lean towards Y? What else do I need to know?
So you're showing them the messy, non-linear path, not just the polished end result?
Exactly. You're showing the uncertainty, the evaluation, the weighing of options. It demystifies that expert clinical judgment, which is often invisible to novices. You're showing how you apply knowledge under pressure.
I like that. Pulling back the curtain. Okay, so modeling is one thing. How do we get students to practice this themselves?
Great point. You can use structured reflection prompts. Don't just end a session or activity. Build in moments for reflection. Ask brief, targeted questions. Things like, what was the muddiest point for you today and why? Or, what strategy did you use to tackle that problem? Was it effective? What would you do differently next time facing a similar challenge?
So prompts that push them beyond just summarizing content.
Right. They nudge students into that metacognitive space, making them evaluate their process, their understanding, their strategies, not just whether they got the right answer.
Okay. And given the sheer volume of information in health sciences, planning seems critical. How can faculty support that aspect?
Absolutely. You can actively promote goal setting and planning. Don't just assume students know how to manage the workload. Guide them. Help them set specific, achievable academic or clinical goals. And then, crucially, help them identify the strategies and resources needed to reach them.
Like breaking down a huge topic.
Yeah. Instead of master pharmacology, maybe the goal is understand the mechanisms of action for antihypertensives this week. Then you ask, okay, how will you do that? What study techniques? How will you check your understanding? And importantly, revisit those goals. That check-in supports persistence, keeps them motivated, especially when things get tough.
That structured approach seems really helpful. What about assessment? How can we build these skills into how we evaluate students or how they evaluate themselves?
That leads right into integrating self-assessment and feedback use. We need to empower students to evaluate their own work, give them rubrics, checklists for assignments or clinical skills, and explicitly teach them how to use these tools to assess their own performance before they submit something or after a practice session.
So they become better judges of their own work.
Yes, and critically, teach them how to use feedback effectively, whether it's from you, a peer, simulation results. How do they take that information and turn it into a concrete plan for improvement?
Making feedback a learning tool, not just a grade.
Exactly. Shifting the mindset from, oh, I got a bad grade, to, okay, this feedback shows me exactly where I need to focus my efforts. It turns perceived failure into a roadmap.
That's a powerful shift. And for tracking this journey, this development over time.
Tools like learning journals and e-portfolios are excellent for this. They provide a space for students to document their learning process over weeks or months. You can prompt them. How have your study strategies changed this semester? Describe how you tackle a challenging patient interaction and what you learned. How has your understanding of X evolved?
So it makes their learning process itself visible, even to them.
Right. It helps them see their own growth, how they adapt, how their thinking deepens. It makes the learning journey tangible.
And inevitably, students will struggle. They'll hit roadblocks. How do we create an environment where that's okay, where they can practice these skills without fear?
That is so important. We need to actively foster a growth-oriented climate. Normalize the idea of productive struggle. Learning hard things is hard.
It's okay not to get it right away.
Absolutely. Emphasizing challenges or opportunities to learn and adapt. Highlight the value of revision, persistence, resilience. When you constantly reinforce that metacognitive skills and self-regulation can be developed with practice and support, you build their confidence to engage, even when it's difficult. It's about the process, not just innate talent.
Shifting the focus to effort and strategy. One more strategy you mentioned.
Yes, and it ties many of these ideas together. Use universal design for learning UDL principles.
UDL, tell us more about how that connects.
Well, UDL is all about designing learning experiences with flexibility and choice built in from the start. Offer multiple ways for students to engage with material readings, videos, simulations, discussions, and crucially, offer multiple ways for them to demonstrate their understanding and reflect on their learning. This inherently supports metacognition and self-regulation because it allows students to choose strategies that actually work best for them.
So it honors individual learning styles and preferences.
Exactly. It empowers them to make informed choices about their learning, which is a core component of self-regulation. It recognizes that one size really doesn't fit all for deep, meaningful learning.
Wow, that's a fantastic set of practical strategies. So we've covered the what, why, and how. If faculty listeners want to dive even deeper, maybe explore some of the foundational work or other perspectives, where should they look?
Yeah, absolutely. Beyond the excellent UTHSC TLC resource we've been drawing from, there are other great places. The Center for Teaching Excellence at the University of Waterloo has good materials on teaching metacognitive skills. Columbia University Center for Teaching and Learning also has a helpful guide simply titled Metacognition.
Okay, good starting points. Any specific papers?
For something directly targeting health professions education, that 2017 article by Medina, Castleberry, and Persky is highly recommended. It's called Strategies for Improving Learner Metacognition in Health Professional Education, published in the American Journal of Pharmaceutical Education. Really practical.
Excellent. And just circling back to UTHSC, the Teaching and Learning Center itself offers quite a bit more, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. They have a whole ecosystem of support.
Right. I recall seeing things like the TLC library, which sounds like a great curated collection, and the 5-Minute University. I like the sound of that for quick tips.
Yeah, those are great. And Teach Well, Learn Well is another initiative. Plus, their subscribed resources offer access to broader educational databases and tools for faculty development.
What about more hands-on help or community?
They have a workshop library, so you can often find sessions on specific techniques. TLC Connect offers more personalized consultations, and the Academy of Master Educators is there for recognition and collaboration among faculty passionate about teaching.
And tech support too, right? Because implementing some of this might involve technology.
Absolutely. Their Academic Technologies group, specifically the Faculty Technology Resources and TLC Tech Tips, can be invaluable for figuring out how to use learning platforms or other tools effectively to support these pedagogical strategies.
This has been incredibly insightful. It really highlights how focusing on metacognition and self-regulation isn't just an add-on, it's fundamental to developing the kind of adaptive, reflective, lifelong learners we need in the health sciences. It really shifts the focus.
It does. And, it raises a really important question for all of us as educators, I think. How can we not only teach these critical skills effectively, but also consistently model them ourselves? In our own teaching practice, in our own professional development? Are we reflecting on what works in our classroom? Are we seeking feedback? Are we adapting our own strategies? Imagine the ripple effect if we truly embody this continuous learning mindset. It could influence not just our students, but the wider culture of clinical practice and research.
That's a powerful thought to end on. Modeling what we preach. Well, thank you so much for sharing all this expertise today. And thank you, our listeners, for joining us on this deep dive into metacognition and self-regulation in health sciences education. We really hope these insights and practical tips are helpful in your vital work. Please join us again for other deep dives into topics designed to keep you informed and inspired. Until next time, keep learning and keep reflecting.